Welcome to the girls. We're all excited because we're at the mall. We're at our mall studio and we're having a good time. I'm with my two favorite girls here.
Yes, I'm not excited about the mall. I'm excited about other things.
Well, I get excited about little things because, you know, when you're married as long as I am, there's still little things that make you happy.
Yeah.
The little things matter the most.
Right, like seeing my grandkids and my family. And you get excited about seeing people too, don't you, Jeannine?
Yeah, I just got to interview Tim Tebow.
Yeah, finally.
Years in the making.
And it was literally a week leading up to, you know, trying to sleep and hold myself together until this interview.
Know. How much weight did you lose?
It was a group.
Like,
it was a
oh
group.
My God.
Right, I know, from not eating. It was a group interview, but he was a super nice guy, and went up there with John Polite to the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders and did my thing. Kept it together. No autographs, no touching, no asking for pictures.
Wait a minute.
Nothing.
He stepped on your toe.
He did, but that was him stepping. I was literally right in front.
I know. It didn't look like a group interview. It looked like you had a one-on-one thing going there. He kept looking into your eyes like this. It's like, oh.
He's awesome.
He's so cute.
Yeah, so we have pictures, and of course, everyone's probably sick of hearing it. I've been posting about him all week on social media.
Yeah,
so
but that was an accomplishment for you. That was
My
on your bucket list.
Interview ever so far.
What was it about him that you wanted to interview?
He's just genuine, sincere. His message isn't about sports. It is about giving back to people and touching their hearts. And it's really about what our guests will talk about today, helping people. And, you know, he has a foundation that he helps the special needs children around the country. And you can relate to kids with disabilities. You work with people with disabilities.
Yeah, you think you could have maybe put a good word in for me while you were there.
You know, I had two questions, and then I was finally on a roll, and they're like, wrap it up. So he is coming back, and I'm hoping to get a one-on-one interview.
One-on-one? There's your chance, Lori. When is this? When is this?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
We're going to keep it a secret.
Yes.
All right. Well, we don't want to spend too much time chit-chatting today because we have a very special guest who's a friend of yours from school that you reconnected with.
Sam and I went to school with Joanne Cipressi, and she was a senior with us at Bishop Havey High School when it was opened. And I found her on Facebook, and I was following her stuff because I look for guests on social media. And she is a mindset coach, a speaker, and a Reiki master. She wrote a book called Ditch Your Doubt.
Wow.
And I just love her story. I love what it's about, positive outlook on life. We're going to hear about her story, her upbringing, which, you know, a lot of people may or may not be able to relate to, but she had a rough upbringing, and she decided to turn her negative story into a very positive one.
To help everyone else. It's great.
Well, that's what we like to hear. We hope that you're going to call your friends. As I always say all the time, tell them to tune in. You can watch us on any device, so you don't have to have cable. You don't need to have channel 13. You can watch us on 13, 513, and any single device. Just download our app, go to YouTube, watch us everywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The book is called Ditch Your Doubt. You're watching The Girls here on SSP TV, and our guest is Joanne Cipressi. She is a mindset coach and a speaker, and she's also a friend of mine from high school. We only graduated a couple of years ago, right, Joanne?
Oh yeah, just a few years ago, yes.
When Bishop Havey was still around.
Yes, I miss it. I actually drove by there to see it, and I was really sad to see that it's no longer Bishop Havey.
I know, it's sad.
Yeah.
Making new memories now at Marion. So tell us about your background, you know, and what you've been up to.
Well, I was raised by what I thought was a really loving, awesome family. We had great like family gatherings, you know, a wonderful family life. And then when I was like 7, 8 years old, my mom met this guy, and he moved into our house, and he started like sexually abusing me. And
at age 7?
at age 7, yes.
Okay, so this was your your biological mother, you had your parents, and they split, and this is now your mother with her boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay, and at age 7, he started physical.
Yeah, he started sexually abusing me, and it was confusing to me, of course, and it went on for a few years, and I never told my mom, but I think she knew because our relationship, my mother and my relationship, just was starting to get very rough and hard. I would do one little thing wrong. I remember I wore a half shirt to school. So my mom locked me in my room for over a year, and I wasn't allowed to.
A year?
Yeah.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
I did. Yeah, I have. At that time, I had I had brothers. They were twin brothers.
Were they older, younger?
Younger. I was the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I had a little brother and a little sister. They were babies though, so they weren't really, involved,
So were you treated like this, and how were the twins and the other children treated?
They seemed like they were fine. I remember being locked in my room for a year, and my brothers would be downstairs playing around, and my mom would leave the house, and my brothers would knock on my door and say, "Joanne, you could come downstairs. We won't tell mom and dad," And I said, "Okay." So I'd go downstairs, and then they would, and I'd have fun and all this stuff. And then as soon as my mom would come home, I'd run upstairs, and they would tell my mom I was downstairs. So.
Were you able? Did she give you food while you were in your room?
Yeah.
Did you get to use the bathroom? What's it like being locked in a room? It's a prisoner.
Yeah, I was allowed to have my meals, but I had to go downstairs, pick my meal up, and go back to my room to eat it while everybody else was eating in the kitchen. I had to ask to use the bathroom, even though the bathroom was right next door to my bedroom. So it was really hard. Whenever there were family parties and family gatherings, I was in my room. My aunt would sometimes come upstairs and talk to me and say, "I tried to tell your mom, that you should be down here with everybody," but my mom refused.
What was the reasoning that your mom gave?
She didn't give me much of a reasoning. I think, which I can only assume, what she's thinking is that she knew about my stepfather and she didn't know how else to face it. Things, I remember I wrote letters to Dear Abby and to my dad, to my dad and to my nanny, asking for help. I never sent them. They were hidden underneath my bed. My mom found them one day, and she's like, "Well, you don't live here anymore?" And I said, "Well, I don't, it's so horrible here." I said, "I don't know what to do." So she sent me out to live with my aunt.
Joanne, what age were you at that point?
I was about 12 or 13 at that point.
So then then your mother told you to get out.
Yeah.
At age 12.
Well, at age 12, she ended up moving me in with my aunt and uncle because it was really rough for me to be there.
Was that a relief for you, or was it like, oh boy, here we go, another trauma?
I was relieved, but also sad. Easter went by, and I wanted to talk to my mom, even though things were tense between my mom and I. She's my mom, and we had a great relationship for most of my childhood up to that point, until she realized my stepfather was doing things to me. I don't, know about that for sure, but things were really good. We had a great relationship. I would run home from school every day and, tell her all my stories, and, we would go on hikes, and, we just had a great relationship. And then something happened, So, when I was living with my aunt and uncle, Easter went by, my mom never called me, and my brothers, didn't reach out to me, and I remember getting really sad, really depressed, and, I felt empty. And then at that point, I started acting out, and I started, well, no one loves me, no one cares about me, and I started sneaking out. I started being a bad girl, and...
Well, you were looking for love.
Exactly.
Everybody needs love. If you don't have
Exactly.
something, it's like food. Eventually, you're gonna, starve to death.
Exactly.
So you were a teenager at this point?
Yeah, at this point I was 13. I remember this very clearly, that I was 13 this time because my uncle ended up finding out that I was sneaking out of the house, sent me back home with my mom. And then at that point, my mom told me to run away. She said, "I want you to run away, and I want you to tell the police that you no longer want to live here anymore." So I went upstairs to my bedroom. My stepfather came up to the room, gave me $10 and said, "Here, take this." And his brother was at the house, and he offered to drive me anywhere I went. So there were 3 adults here who were all completely okay with me running
At 13,
away.
just
at 13.
telling you to, you're on your own, run away.
Yeah, run away, but tell the police you don't want to live here anymore, you know? So I had no choice, you know, I packed a bag and I left, and my stepfather's brother drove me anywhere I wanted to go. So of course I went back to where my aunt and uncle lived, because that's where I knew some people, you know, and I slept in an alleyway that night because it was in the middle of the night. I slept in the alleyway, just put on the ground, you know, with my head on a bag at 13, you know, and then for the next 3 nights, I literally just stayed in people's homes, you know. My one friend, I slept behind the couch so their parent wouldn't find out that I was there. Another friend let me stay in their bunkhouse, you know, and another friend let me sleep in their closet. So it was like, and then finally, the next night, the police saw me walking around in the streets, and they were like, "Are you, you know, Joanne's," at the time I was Skordensky, "Are you Joanne Skordensky?" And I'm like, "No." You know, so I was a kid, you know, I was scared, and, you know, and then finally they're like, "Well, who are you?" And I couldn't think of a fake name, so they ended up taking me, shipping me back home, and then shortly after that, I was in the foster care system.
Oh my
And you
God.
were in and out of foster care, and you were
Oh,
in and out
yeah.
of different high schools. You went to several different high schools,
I went to
including our high school.
Yeah, including yours. Including ours, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to 6 different high schools, 2 of them twice, and Bishop Hayfie was one of them, and it was my favorite high school. You know, it was such a great community feeling.
Yeah, we had
Where
an
did
awesome
all of
class.
this take place? Where did you live at the time? How many?
My family and I, we lived in a town called Nanticoke.
Okay.
And then we moved to Wilkes-Barre. So when I got kicked out, I was in the Wilkes-Barre area. And then my aunt and uncle lived in Glen Line. So it was all in
Quite a
Luzerne
distance
County.
for a young kid to be able to be out on her own. You didn't drive, and you were, you know, relying on everybody. And
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at you and talking with you before the show, you just seem like the very well-adjusted, confident young lady.
We're going to
And
get to that.
My God, it's just like, this is stuff like you see on TV.
Yeah.
I'm
You know?
wondering how does somebody at that age really overcome this, and to have the confidence and to do what you're doing now is just remarkable.
Yeah, well, I did not have the confidence at that age, you know. About age, it's hard to remember the exact age, but about age 15, I tried to kill myself, you know, and then again, I tried to kill myself at age 17, you know, and then I even tried again in my early 20s, and I was in the hospital. They were trying to pump out all the pills I took, and I was asking them not to, because I didn't want to live, you know. So there was a long time in my life where I was very sad, depressed.
You had nothing to live for, but torture and torment and sadness.
Yeah.
Did you have any good friends that at least were able to fill in the gaps for you a little bit along the way?
Unfortunately, all my friends were short-lived because I moved every 3 to 6 months. So I would make some cool friends, you know, like in Tunkhannock, I went to Tunkhannock School, great people there, great friends, and, you know, it was wonderful. But then I left, you know, and it was hard to keep in touch with people back then. So we didn't have Facebook and all this stuff, you know.
Texting and all the other.
Yeah, and so, you know, you write letters a little bit here and there, you know, and then some schools were rougher than others, you know, and then Bishop Hayfie was a great school, you know, I made great friends there too, and I'm still in touch with some of them, but nobody was close. You know, like there was a teacher, I forget his name, from Bishop Hayfie. He had blonde, like sandy blonde hair. He helped me out a lot because he knew
As
my
a counselor.
situation. Yeah.
Mr. Caustic?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's him. And he like helped me out, but like it was hard to find like true, genuine friends for the long term.
And you
You
say
know?
in your book, which we're going to talk about when we come back, you talk about how even when you were in foster care, I mean, I was at your house senior year, and I had no idea that they were your
No.
foster parents or that anything was, you know, different in your life. So you really did a good job at hiding it. And I think a lot of the points that you make in this book, we're hoping to help people today. Right.
Well, stay with us because we're not going anywhere. We hope you aren't going to go anywhere either. We'll be right back to hear the rest of the story.
We're talking about self-help today on The Girls. The book is called Ditch Your Doubt. We're going to get into this in just a bit. Joanne Cipressi is our guest. She is a mindset coach, speaker, and Reiki master. And we're hearing about your personal story and how that personal story has helped you with your career and how you're looking to help others and have been helping others. So thank you for being on The Girls with us.
Thanks.
Joanne, I'm listening to your story, and I'm a social worker. So I'm thinking about all the individuals that I've worked with and counseled over the years. And your story, I've been very quiet because there's just so much going on in my mind about everything, and thinking about how does somebody have, at the age that you started going through all of this, to overcome. It's really incredible to me that you are where you are today, because so many people, I think, would have said, I'm done, and just led this life of isolation and depression.
Yeah.
And here you are, you wrote a book and you're doing all these wonderful things to help others. What was that turning point for you? How did you get from where you were to really where you are now?
The first incidents that happened, I was eating at a Burger King, which I would never eat anymore, but I was eating at a Burger King and I heard these women, they were in their 40s or 50s, and they were complaining about their mom and their past and their childhood. And I remember sitting there at that moment thinking, I do not want to be 40 and 50 complaining about my life and still regretting and resenting everything that I did and that happened to me. So right then and there, I decided I need to get help, like true help. And I already went through therapy and stuff through high school, but I didn't take it seriously. So I ended up taking certification classes for neuro-linguistic programming, which is NLP, which is what Tony Robbins basically uses to help all of the celebrities and people that he helps. So that, 6 months of immersing myself into that course, as well as with hypnotherapy. I became certified in hypnotherapy, age regression therapy, timeline therapy, and all of these classes, and practicing these techniques from these classes, it transformed me and my mindset, my emotional patterns within 6 months. And I was like, whoa.
So you were like your first patient.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
other words, and you were transformed through that.
They say your thoughts become really
become your thoughts.
your
life.
your reality is.
It's absolutely true. And for me, like having that relief and being liberated from my depression and my hate, my self-hate and my hate of life, and all of that stuff, was huge. And I was actually in college at the time, so I wanted to be an international lawyer, and I said, I'm done with that. I said, I want to help people, because if I can change, then anybody can change. So that started my journey. And then right away, my teacher for NLP said, you guys can all become life coaches. And back then, everybody was like, life coach? What is a life coach? And now it's like the trendy thing.
Buzzword, yeah.
Exactly. So I've been doing this for over 20 years now,
Wow.
Talk about the book. What are people going to learn? Like who should get this book?
Okay, well, basically people who should read this book are people who are chronically doubting themselves. I mean, we all doubt ourselves on an everyday basis, and we usually get over that. But there are some people who are just constantly doubting who they are. They don't trust themselves, they don't have confidence, and they're holding themselves back from the things they truly want to do in their life, whether it's getting a better relationship, improving their family life, their career. If they had sexual abuse, or abandonment issues too, if they've been through those types of situations, this book can help you, overcome all of those things, because it shows you how to recognize your emotional patterns, and your thought patterns and your action patterns, because all of those things all of those patterns that we do, we're not even really aware of them. We just live through life, living through life without even thinking about what we're doing, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, You
get into a routine. How difficult was it for you to relive your life when you were writing this book?
It wasn't
to dig
difficult.
up the past like that.
It wasn't difficult.
I'd be wanting to, let's put that away, especially after coming so far.
See, for me, I've accepted my past, and I'm thankful for a lot of the things I've been through, because, my mom giving me away was one of the best things that could have happened.
She gave you a second life.
She did.
Everyone has a purpose, and this is your purpose. And
Yeah.
I read your book, the ebook that you sent me, and I was blown away thinking, you know, we all have problems and we all, you know, you think your problems are the worst problems because they're your problems. They're under a microscope. And, you know, when you read these things of how hurtful your mom really was to you as a young age, calling you it, that was your name, was it.
Yes.
I got up out of bed and I'm thinking, wow, I don't even know what it would feel like if someone I loved so much, like my mom,
Yeah.
or someone that was close to me was calling me it.
Yeah.
So to come out of that and really turn your life around and then help other people is self-gratifying, isn't it?
Oh, it totally is. You know, we're not defined by our past. We're not defined by the way people treated us in our past. You know, and it took me a long time to realize that, because, you know, I was judging myself based on the way my mom judged me and based on the way, you know, my stepfather treated me. You know what I mean? Like, all of these things, you know, they're not really me.
I welcome anyone to connect with Joanne and get the book, Ditch Your Doubt. You
Where
have a
can they get the
Facebook
book?
page,
Yeah, where
right?
can
And
they-
you have a website.
Yes, the website is ditchdoubt.com, so it's very easy to find.
There you go.
So.
And you can connect with you on either social media. You have a
Yes.
Facebook page. You have a like page, a business page for this as well.
Yes, and on Twitter too. If you're on Twitter,
There you go.
I'm very big on Twitter. I love Twitter, so.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on, inspiring our audience. We love to have people on that are from the area and that are making a difference in the world.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.